to some of the purveyors that we work with that have really put a middle finger up to the system and changed the way we eat. We have a couple stories of that. Death, how to dye green, how to turn yourself, from a dead body into a blender, into a mushroom farm, into mushrooms, how to change yourself into mulch. So there's stories about all the shit that happens in these restaurants or in the buildings that they once were. And then in the middle of it is a cookbook. There's half of it's a cookbook. There's also some just humor in there, some, challenging articles. I don't know. It's all over the place.
I mean, I think everyone they would be better for it if they picked up a copy. So why don't you, for the 25,000 listeners that we have tuning in right now, what's the best way for someone to go about grabbing your book or bookazine or whatever?
The bookazine. I like that. The easiest way to get that, Bob, is to go to Amazon.com, and we have it's called the Edible Beat, and that beat is spelled B-E-A-T. So the Edible Beat on Amazon.com or on ediblebeats.com. It's on all our websites probably, but I know you can order it at ediblebeats.com.
Brazzers? Is it on Brazzers?
No. What's Brazzers?
Never heard of that website
Okay.
either. Yeah, definitely don't know.
It's a site.
Yeah. Check it out when you get home.
Is it on your cuck site or something? Or
why would I
Put
ever
the
look at
incognito window on there?
Yeah. Maybe don't do it on the work Wi-Fi. That's what I always
So go
tell
on
myself.
Tor and then on TOR, not on Tor. But
RedTube, things of that nature.
Exactly. And it's available at any of the restaurants. It's also at the Tattered Cover, which you could buy.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Michelle O. That's where we hung out there.
Man,
she and
Tattered
I.
Cover's great.
Yeah.
So, do you consider yourself an author now?
What would you call your title? What's your
Chef,
business card
author?
say?
You're kind of like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, that's an insult, but thank you. Master of none. I'm just joking. I think I just put chef owner because everything else is something.
He just called you out, Chris. That's fucked up.
A Swiss Army knife is a master of nothing?
When's the last time you saw someone actually use a Swiss Army knife?
We actually interviewed an Eagle Scout the other week.
Yeah.
So I beg to differ. But when was the last time you had a knife with a toothpick in it?
When's the last time you didn't lose the toothpick? So
That is true. That little white thing has never stood a
it's
chance.
It's never in there. It's an empty chamber.
The tweezers are right behind them.
All right,
too.
then a really reliable can opener. Those are tough to find.
Those are tough to find. Everything else, it's really chef owner because the food here is the thing that I'm most passionate about. Of course, I'm passionate about all of it. Titles are stupid anyway, but that's the one that goes on my business card. I just am, really passionately curious about.
Don't
all
put
the
Justin
things.
in a box.
Yeah, it's like I want to color outside the lines.
Zine author.
Any title is going to set you up for failure. I feel like. Even the chef one, the first couple of years, I was like, I don't want anybody ever calling me a chef here. Because when I worked in the kitchens, I would only call chef when I was really trying to say, asshole. I would say, anything else, chef? So it was always like...
It's like, chef,
exactly.
Dickhead.
Yeah, fuckface.
And the French have never been nice, so you know that there's a negative connotation.
Coded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always dripping with some vile, fuck you. So I always told the teams not to call me that. But then after a while, when I really realized chef is just like chief, I was like, and I think they, 80% of the time use it with love. So I could deal with 20% of the, fuckface,
Hey, for the record, I didn't call you chef because I wasn't sure if you were culinary trained or if you were just a genius restaurateur. So we just let off, and I wasn't even sure if I could get the last name right. In fact, I double checked with a couple folks before you got here.
It was close. It's so close to Gucci. If you know Gucci, and if you've
Do I look like someone that knows Gucci?
If you know Cucci, then you know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, now I know.
I knew you would.
Classic me. All right, so we've done a little bit of the history and the business side of this. We like to split it in half, and we may have gone a little long on the food, so we won't hold you as long on the fun side. But from my understanding, we have
You're gonna cheat me on the fun side?
Fuck no, we're gonna actually I was just misleading you and making you. I was just making you think that you were actually close to the finish
10 more
line.
minutes.
Yeah, you might as well pack a. Well, we
I have a joint
dinner.
if we need to press pause and go get high and come back for round two. So this next section, it's brought to you by our sponsors over at Live Nation. Without Live Nation, none of this would be possible. From what I understand, you're a big Dead fan.
Yeah.
I also understand that you I did a little research. And by a little research, I mean I spoke to some folks that are close to you.
Okay.
You also like rap.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, fuck, marry, kill, The Dead, Fish, East Coast rap.
Well,
I mean, you're from New York, so all of these have to be really close to your heart.
killing fish is the easiest
Okay.
of all of those.
We're friends.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Mike Gordon.
Yeah, so I would just worry that I wouldn't kill them all in one fell swoop. That's my worry. And then how do you get all the fans at the same time? It's like I just couldn't kill them enough.
I
not
tell
as
you
bad
how
as this
you
guy.
can start with that prairie plague that was out there.
That was almost a natural selection,
that-
a little
yeah,
bit of
that was-
Darwin all in
No,
itself.
that was engineered by some brilliant folks that I don't want to call out, but I may have had a part of that. No, I kill fish. I guess it would have to be like, God.
I can't believe this one. It's thrown a wrench. This is the hardest hitting question we've had all day.
Yeah, it's hard because I would have to say marry the dead, and then fuck the rap. Or fuck rap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Nailed it. That
I
was a
have
good one.
an idea that I've been wanting to do, and one day when this is all like in my rearview mirror, I want to combine those two things. And so I sometimes let people know, like, just give me a couple years, and I'm going to put out an album that only samples dead, like stuff you would never know is.
I feel like Jay-Z did that with like a Scarlet Begonia's Fire on the Mountain a couple years ago.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to find this website and I'll send it to you.
I would
but
love
it's
to.
like it's a mashup of Scarlet and maybe into Fire on the Mountain,
Okay.
all with Jay-Z and like the backdrop. I swear to God, it's
that's
fucking
dope.
gnarly.
Man,
It's gnarly.
Okay, I want to hear it because I've always, like, when I listen, I'm like, oh, I got to take that. I want to, like, scientist the fuck out of pieces of their music, and then I want to find someone to, like, and I want to produce this because I ain't rapping, and I want to find some people and just put together, like, a dope ass, like, I grew up in New York at the birth of hip hop, in 78, 79. All that time, that was like the birth of it. And I want to like bring that sort of old school hip hop into a breakbeat album of dead breakbeats. And that's it.
You're sitting on a gold mine, by the way.
Yeah, you're letting a lot of these ideas out there, like the bingo board. Somebody's going to cash in on that, and then you're going to hear about it, and you're going to fuck.
As a very popular podcast in the Denver food scene, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tuesday after this podcast is released, that someone's going to be bingo boarding the shit out of it.
Take that idea. Just leave the dead breakbeats and the old school East Coast hip hop album.
So
let me just do that, please.
This is awkward now because we've had Mark Levy from Circles Around the Sun, who did The Fare Thee Well, and rest in peace, Neil. Our thoughts are with everybody. And same for Robert Hunter. But so, he's been a guest on the podcast. And so we dabble a little bit in the music scene as well. So we could have some music producers that we could put y'all together.
Man,
we could sync y'all up.
I think I got like 9 months before I'm going to start doing that.
Are you pregnant?
Yeah, I am.
I see you're not drinking.
Dude, yeah. I really I've been talking about it for a while, and I'm like, I got to give myself a deadline. Otherwise, someone else is some fool like Jay-Z is going to come along.
What an idiot he is, right?
So I have a very contentious view of music because in the new zine, I want to put together, and I am putting together some poetry, and I don't know if you know who E.E. Cummings is, right?
Yeah, I remember
Jay-Z
reading
is.
that.
Yep.
So I want to take some of the most beautiful, amazing poetry in the world with some of the worst hip-hop in the world, which I consider Jay-Z to be among it. And I want to take lines, and I want to combine Jay-Z and E.E. Cummings and call it, Jay-Z Cummings. And then I want to do with Kanye West and Kahil Gibran, the old Arabic poet, and I'm going to call it Kanye Gibran. Because I think they're just the absolute
oh my God,
worst.
Dude,
You give zero fucks about calling people out.
No, not those two.
Also,
because they can.
Eudora Welty, one of the ugliest writers and most boring authors in history, Mississippi Girl. You should mesh her up in there. I don't know who you can team her up with, but shitty author, real shitty author. So just find a real shitty musician to go with her.
Is she an ex?
No, she's dead as a doornail, but I think she has like 70 Pulitzers or whatever the fuck you get for writing.
Terrible writer.
Ugly as sin. So you could find a good rapper to mix and match that.
I'm really obsessed with taking just two things and just going like that and trying to make some beauty out of some really terrible hip hop.
Like centaurs.
What's that?
a centaur.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but with music.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I know saying Jay-Z sucks and Kanye sucks is like,
No, you're all good.
I find it a little bit crazy. Yeah, we can edit that out. So none of our New York listeners, we have a big constituency there. So they don't know that. But coming from New York, that does surprise me that, you like you said, you grew up in the beginning of hip hop. So to kind of slight someone that I would say, and at least our generation, which may be slightly after yours,
right?
He
exactly.
he and Biggie were the face of the East Coast rap or the New York, and he made the New York Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. Yeah. Shout out Lou Gehrig. I think he said that first.
Yeah, any abomination of nature that cheats on Beyonce, that's also
That is
I'm
true.
upset about
Get
that.
the
too.
fuck out of here.
You talking about Becky?
I don't know. Is it Becky with the long hair?
The good hair.
The good hair.
So it could have been us. We have gorgeous flow, but
I'll never forgive him for that. Besides his music, I can forgive a man for his music, but not for.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that one. So talking about music, though, what'd you listen to on your way into work this morning?
Oh,
what's on the playlist?
Stations are fucking Sirius XM, and it's either the Grateful Dead one. It's either Rock the Bells, which is what's his name? Ice Cube's, not Ice Cube. LL Cool J's early hip hop station, and Howard Stern. That's the three things that I circle.
Those
around.
are great.
I do 80s on 8, Barstool Radio, and The Dead.
Okay.
I used to do Jam On, but it's like fucking twiddle and Humphreys all the time now. I'd rather fucking I'd cut my fingers off if I never had to hear twiddle again.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see we're on the same page for a couple of those. That was a great question, Chris.
Yeah.
And that question was actually brought to you by the Fillmore Denver. They're celebrating their 20th year here in Denver, just here longer than you have, 2001. They started in 99, and they have a pretty heater setup here in October. So for those that are listening, we have Lizzo here this week, and I believe we all, when this drops.
Lizzo's awesome.
And we also have Marilyn Manson coming at the end of the month. So and then in between, there's obviously shows galore, but for the big name bells and for Kip winging that, I'm not going to lie, that's a pretty goddamn good ad read.
I wish I had tickets for Lizzo.
Man.
You should follow her on Instagram if you don't.
I just want to get her to Ophelia's, but I'm not a social media.
So who does your booking for Ophelia's?
We have Randall, who has been with us for years. He came from the Walnut Room, and he's been doing all our booking.
Crap.
But
we met him.
You probably met.
Yeah, we met him.
Long hair, kind of a beard.
Yeah. Okay, so we've recorded at Ophelia's before.
Oh, okay.
So we've done it underneath on the right side, kind of right in front of the windows where people walk by. We've actually, I actually have.
Holy shit! Hold on, his name's Greg.
Randall.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of somebody else. Go ahead.
So Randall does the booking. We also kind of collab with Cervantes and Live Nation. Sometimes we're lucky enough to get really cool shows that can't fit into one of their rooms, but we can do in our rooms. And then I just try and send as much stuff to Randall that I want to get in that room as possible. So it's really just a lot of collaboration, which is not the way most music is done. There's a booker. They get all the talent, and then it's I just wanted that to be open source there. I don't want it to be what kind of music do you play? And it should be everything, diversity again.
You really do get a fair amount of diversity. I think we did a Halloween show there, or y'all had a Halloween show that was just popping, and it was it was almost one set was a little bit funky, and then the next set was a little bit almost not electronic, but a little synthesized a little bit. So cool. It's you can kind of shift gears, but it once again brings. It's not a niche, or niche, whatever the term is, redneck.
Who knows?
But it brings in all the 10s that I see walking in, and then the 70-year-olds that are on that side.
Yep.
So, you have the same concept applying there. So
the DNA in all the restaurants kind of is the same. And
let's not make DNA jokes.
Okay.
We still got a couple samples out there. We're waiting on returns.
Well, I hate to say this right after DNA, but it's really a bastardization.
Well.
So
that really hits home.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was going below the belt here.
God. Man. Look at, you're a wordsmith. You may be our third co-host from now on. All right. So you have a couple spots in town, but we like to ask our guests some questions.
Yeah.
And we're going to get back into the music. You're not out of the woods on that one.
Okay, good. Cause I got more to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's keep going with the music. Oh,
it doesn't matter.
All right, yeah. Well, okay. So this segment's called the Denver Hotspots, and it's brought to you by Live Well. They get us high. They make sure that we're hungry all the time. So shout out to our friends at Live Well. Let's pretend like you weren't working for a day.